Short story by Paul McCann entitled The Rattrap. He sat on the edge of the mattress as Digby walked into the room, with a mug in one hand and a cigarette in the other. Handing over the mug of soup, the man on the mattress said, "What's happening, Digby?"
"Well, the kitchen's closing in 5 minutes, John. And the BBC camera crew are on their way. So I thought you might like a mug of soup, as I'll be busy for a little while."
Looking up through half-closed eyes, John replied,
"I wonder if the BBC would be interested in how I'm going to blow up an army barracks on Thursday."
Digby replied,
"John, you better keep out of sight and don't be talking to anybody about who you are and what you do."
John drank down the soup and he said,
I don't want to do this job, but the money is too good to refuse." "Do you know who ordered the hit?" "I never do, Digby. I just get a call, and then I'm told where to pick up the information. Then I ring with a yes or a no. I said yes to this one." "Well, you're safe enough here, John. Just another one of the homeless community." "Tell me about that new resident, the one you took in today." "His name's Gary. He's 35 years of age. Was referred to us at the shelter here by the Department of Health and Social Security. He has an issue with alcohol, which cost him his job because he lost his driver's license, and consequently he lost his family. His wife kicked him out, so he's been down and out, I've been told, living rough on the streets here for the past 6 months." All right. So, just another one of the community here then, John," replied.
And Digby looked at him straight in the eye.
"That's right, John. Just another one of the homeless community here."
Digby smiled, and he said,
"So, which room did you put him in?"
Digby said,
"He's in room 66, the double room on the top floor. He's sharing that there with Holy Hugh, the preacher, the God-fearing preacher from Hackney."
"Oh, I see," said Digby, and he went on.
"Is that the same Hugh I've heard about, who's been living on Hampstead Heath for a year or two?" "Oh, I'd say that's him all right." "That's him all right, John,"
said Digby. The conversation was interrupted by a knock on the door, and a voice on the other side shouted,
"Hey, Digby, it's the camera crew from the BBC. They're at the front gate." "Okay, tell them I'll be there shortly. Take them into my office."
John handed back the empty mug to Digby and he said,
"I could give them a story of when I joined the French Legion, Digby. I'm sure there'd be something their audience would like to hear."
John smiled. Then Digby looked at him and he said,
"No, just lay low, John. This should be all over in a couple of hours. We'll get these BBC in and out. I'm sure the people will be interested on the plight of the homeless here in the shelter." No problem, said John. Oh, cover a couple of cigarettes, will you? I can't take a chance of going shopping out there. You know what I mean?
Ah, sure, I know what you mean. Is there anything else you need, John?
And John replied,
I just want to get this job out of the way Thursday, Digby. So tell me, what are the BBC doing here anyway?
I told you, John. They just are here to do a documentary on the homeless community of South London.
Digby smiled. Then John lit up a cigarette, and he casually replied,
Okay then, Digby, I suppose. I trust your judgment. Are you going to tell that BBC about how I persuaded the owner of this building to allow 100 men off the street to take up residency in the building, and then how I threw him off the roof when he signed over the deeds to the homeless project?
Ah, John, don't be silly,
said Digby. And John continued,
Well, it's a true story, isn't it?
Digby replied,
Sure, it's true. But if I told that story, that would be an end to your safe accommodation here, John. You'd be out with nowhere to go in London. And the end to our drug and arms dealing as well. So there'd be a few of us too would definitely do some prison time.
John said,
Well, better not tell the truth then, Digby. See you later on.
Digby left the room, and he locked it from the outside, then made his way to the office to speak with the BBC camera crew. Meanwhile, on the top floor in room 66, Gary was sitting in and getting acquainted with Holy Hugh, the preacher from Hackney. Both of them exchanged a few stories, and Hugh spoke about the visions that he had had, and he told the tales of the miracles that he personally had encountered out there on the streets. And, out of the blue, Gary produced a badge, and then he started talking quietly.
I've done, a thorough criminal check on every single person in this place, and you are the only person with a clean file. So that's why I'm telling you this, and I need you to listen to me. Do exactly as I ask. Tomorrow is Thursday, and I do not want you to be here in this building at all during any time of the day. Get up early and leave and do not return. This building is a front for running weapons and drugs. The place is full of murderers, mercenaries, terrorists, and I am an undercover detective working along with some other groups of people, and we will not be asking questions. So do as I say. Stay out of this place tomorrow, because we are coming in and heads are going to roll. Get my drift? Hugh could hardly believe what he had been told, but after checking Gary's badge a few times, he realized that it was authentic, and that he had to follow the instructions that had been given to him. Even the filming crew from the BBC are part of the operation, said the undercover detective. And he continued, and they will be staying overnight due to a pre-arranged problem that will happen with their transport vehicles. The entire operation is going to be filmed for the archives, and in the morning the special forces will arrive. We will descend upon the place, and this operation, codenamed Rattrap, has been planned for the last 6 months. Now, you must do as I say and not be here. Get up early and leave. This is almost at an end of a long journey for us, and I do not want you here, Hugh.
After a meeting with Digby, the BBC camera crew spent a few hours talking with all of the residents in the shelter before going to a live broadcast. The camera crew stretched the residents one by one. The time was extended. And long after lunch, all the residents eventually were spoken to. And then it was time to start shooting some film, and it was almost primetime viewing. Everything was going to air. And the committee of the homeless shelter were very happy with the response coming in from the audience of an estimated 57 million people who were watching the show. And soon the phone started ringing, and donations of money and various other donations were coming in. A steady flow of clothing and food, and even some goodwill time for the Doss House shelter. It was a wonderful occasion for all of the residents who were there for other reasons other than terrorism. In room 66, on the top floor, Gary and Hugh both lay down on the mattress on the floor, and they fell fast asleep. Morning came, and Hugh and the undercover detective rose, and they said goodbye as Hugh made his way out onto the street, where he remained there until the next day. On the front page of the newspapers the following day, the news lines read, "Caught in a rat trap." So just for curiosity's sake, Hugh walked back to the Doss House shelter just to have a look at the place. He couldn't believe his eyes. When he got there, the building was a mess. It had really totally been gutted and destroyed. Hugh looked up into the sky and he shouted,
"Thanks for keeping me safe, Lord. Thanks for keeping me safe."
And he walked off towards the distance of the park at Kennington Oval as the sun set. The end.